Русский? Советский.
Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back to another episode of Ushanka Show, where everyone can learn something new about life in the Soviet Union. Здравствуйте, дорогие товарищи! В эфире программа Ushanka Show. And today's episode was made possible by my mother, Elena, who just recently told me a couple new things about our family, and I'm happy to share those things with you. So today we're going to talk about furniture, and we'll start with our traditional lesson of Russian language. And by the way, let me know in the comment section if you find these lessons annoying or useful. Мебель. Мебель. So that's the Russian word for furniture. Mebli. Mebli. And that's Ukrainian word for furniture. If you follow my channel, you may remember that my family began its life journey in a small family dorms, and they had to share a room with another family, and the size of that room was just 130 square feet. So it's about 10 by 13 square feet room that's shared by two families, so about 6 people. And here's the picture from that dorm room. Photo was taken probably around 1974, 1975. So this is Comrade Sergey taking a bath. Now, dorms had only running cold water, so my mother had to preheat water in the kitchen, carry it back in the room, fill this little metal tub, and that's how I took a bath. So here you kind of see the general view of the room. So behind me on the left, that's my parents' bed, and actual bed frame belonged to the dorms. Between, in the middle, was a table that we shared with the other family and belonged to the dorms. And to the right, you don't see it, that's another bed for our roommates, if we'll put it that way. And you can see the baby bottle. That belonged to a baby girl that belonged to the other family. And she was crying every night. That's the only kind of memory that I have from living in the dorms, is I couldn't sleep well because she cried all the time through the night. And from this angle, oh my goodness, my mother looks so young. You kind of see the cast iron footboard to the right. Once again, table in the middle, and behind, covered by the white cloth, I believe it's our black and white Slavutich TV. So the only two pieces of furniture we owned, furniture was appliances. There was a small Dnepr 2 refrigerator that I talked about already, and a TV, and maybe a couple of chairs. The rest of the furniture belonged to the dorms. And here's that Dnepr 2 refrigerator that my parents purchased in 1971. I already made a video on that topic, and link will be below in the comment section. And here's our black and white Slavutich TV. I believe my parents purchased it in 1973, once again on the payment plan. And we had that TV all the way till 1986, when we finally purchased Electron color TV. So when my family finally moved from the dorms to our own small apartment, they barely had any furniture, just a TV and a refrigerator. The rest they had to purchase. In our new apartment, Gastinka hotel-style apartment, wasn't much bigger. In fact, living space was even smaller, but we didn't have to share. It was only 10 square meters. And my mom was kind enough to make this drawing, how our furniture was located. So in the top left corner, T is our TV. Then there's a little table, ST in the middle. Then 2 Ds are Davenports, divan, couches that you can recline into bed. Then we had a servant, C on the right, and shkaf, so it's like a wardrobe on the left next to my divan. So I slept below that little corner. That was my couch. And now let's talk about this piece of furniture, which we used to have in our small Gastinka apartment, and we still own it, and it was called servant. 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 Servant is obviously an imported word to Russian language. It came probably from French or English. So we had this open display area with a mirror background. That's where people store their pretty dishes or crystal. We'll talk about it later. On the top, my family used that area as a bookshelf. Then, of course, you have 4 drawers on the right. You can store silverware. And then you have doors that you can open. You can store more stuff. And the coolest part was that locked area to the right. So this is drop-down door that also serves as a small writing desk. And it's locked, so you can keep like medicines there or candy or whatever you don't want your kids get access to. And I spent countless hours at this drop-down table doing my homework or just drawing pictures on a rainy day. Unfortunately, my mother doesn't remember how much they paid for this servant, but I did some digging and it looks like it was about 125 rubles, so very close to average Soviet monthly salary. So picture you pay about $2,500 or $3,000 for this servant. Another interesting piece of furniture we used to have a Gastinka is this table, stol. It was called stol knizhka, so like book table, because the way you could open up, make it way larger, it looks like you open the front and the back cover. Stol kniga. Stol, kniga, the book table. All I remember about this transformer table, it was extremely heavy and awkward to move around because there was no handles to grip. And the price tag was about 100 rubles, once again, quite expensive, so close to maybe $1,500, like modern money, modern American income. But my mother mentioned that buying individual pieces of furniture wasn't a big challenge, besides that were extremely expensive. So every time you buy, servant or a couch or a table, you have to spend your monthly salary. But generally, it was not a long waiting list, except when you tried to buy so-called room package. Then there was a different story. Okay, so let's take a look at my family housing story again. My parents got married in 1970. I was born in 1971, and they lived in the dorms, family dorms, for about 5 years, so between 1970 and 1975. Then we moved in this stanka apartment where we lived from 1975 till 1981. And around 1979, 1980, my family still was looking at 8 years of waiting and living in this tiny apartment before we could get a 2-room apartment. So my mother was number 16 on the waiting list at her place of work, and that number 16 meant 8 years. So each year there'll be 2 people from her factory would get a new apartment. So we were looking around 1987, 1988, finally to move into slightly bigger apartment. And around 1980, there were rumors, at least at my mom's place of work, that all the apartment waiting lists would be canceled. So pretty much it meant that my family will get stuck in that tiny apartment for the rest of their lives. And my mom panicked and started trying to find new solutions, and that's how we ended up purchasing 3-room cooperative apartment for 25,000 rubles with Soviet-style mortgage for next 15 years. A while back, I already recorded the video about our Soviet mortgage, and if you missed that video, link will be below in the comment section. Our new apartment was located in a 9-story apartment. This is pretty much what the Brezhnev-era apartments were, 9-story high, and it had 3 rooms. So this is the diagram on our apartment, and I marked it kind of American way, bedroom 1, bedroom 2. In Soviet Union, you don't use those abbreviations. It's just 3 rooms. And you choose whatever you want to use as a bedroom or office, whatever. So you walk into an apartment, and there's a kitchen on the left, had a gas stove and a sink, and of course you have to put furniture. Then a long hallway, and there's a living room, the largest room in our apartment, on the left. Then there's another kind of T-shaped hallway, and you have 2 bathrooms. So this is like almost the final generation of Brezhnev era apartments, Brezhnevka. It had 2 separate rooms for the bathroom. So that was kind of разделный санузел, what they call it. So you have a toilet in a tiny room, and they have a bath and a sink in a separate room. And that's considered way better than have them combined. So we had that. And also, our apartment had 2 balconies. So you go to bedroom number 1, there's 1 balcony. And you go to bedroom number 2, there's another balcony. And my parents, bless their hearts, well, my mom, she told me you can pick any room. And I picked the smallest, so bedroom number 2 was my room. That's where I spent next about 9 years. No, more than that. From 1980 till 1988. So 18 years, that was my room, my bedroom, my office, everything else. And now my family faced with this interesting problem, which many Soviet families wish to have, is we had a huge living room that we needed to fill with furniture. And we needed some rugs to hang on the wall. And if you missed my video, I already have a story why Soviet people like to hang rugs on the wall, and link will be also below in the comment section. And what the Soviet people like to have in their living room, in their main room, was so-called stanka. So this large piece of furniture consisted of several pieces that filled the entire wall. Stanka. Stanka. And it's kind of an interesting word because stena means the wall, and stanka it's like a small wall. So my mother went to a local store, she looked at the furniture offered, and she put herself on the waiting list to purchase a living room set, so комнатный набор. It consisted of that stanka, so the large wall unit, and then it had a rug that you can hang on the wall or lay on the floor, but it was way too nice to have it on the floor. Then it has 2 chairs, so upholstered chairs, and a small, they call it magazine table, so the end table to have it between, a dining room table, and 4 chairs and a couch. So all this was called klon, maple. and the price was 1,100 rubles. So it's close to my mother not monthly, annual salary. So besides being crazy expensive, it wasn't available. So my mother put her name on the waiting list, and we waited for 1 year to get this furniture set. The most annoying part, and I didn't know about it, and my mom told me, she had to go there at the furniture store every Saturday to confirm that she's still interested. So she would travel like half an hour from our apartment to the furniture store just to confirm, put the check mark and sign that she still wants to be on the waiting list. And she did it for an entire year. So she traveled about 52 times to a furniture store just for the check mark and signature to remain on this waiting list. And of course, my parents didn't have that much money in their savings account. In fact, they spent all their savings for the down payment on an apartment. So we got another debt now. So there was a рассрочка, extended payment plan for 2 years with 7% interest. So that's another debt my family piled. Besides Soviet mortgage for our 3-room cool apartment, there was another extended payment plan with 7% interest to pay off this furniture set. And my mother was very kind to take some pictures of our stanka. So this is actually a unit that's still in our living room. So this is the left unit. Has a storage on the top, so it's 3-piece assembled. Then you have a display case where usually people would show their best dishes and dinnerware. So we have a drinking glasses on the top, then some crystals, then teapots and stuff, and then more storage on the bottom. And there's a centerpiece, so once again, more storage on the top, doors you can open. Then the stall door is actually a bar. So unfortunately, my mom didn't open it, but inside there's a glass shelves, and there's like a lazy Susan that you could put bottles, you can spin it, and then 3 drawers on the bottom, and it looks like one broke down. Then on the right, there's the bookcase, and more storage on the top and on the bottom. So it's extremely useful, a lot of storage, stanka. And this is the far right piece. So once again, more storage on the top, and then you have a big wardrobe cabinet. That's where you keep your dresses and coat. And an example of a different stanka, kind of similar to ours, but a little bit different. And as you see, these people were doing really well because they have a Japanese boombox installed on the shelf. So they had a lot of money or access to goods that my family never had. Our stanka was Soviet made, but the most desirable, best quality, there was ones that came from Finland, Yugoslavia, or Romania. So those were extreme deficit. Good luck getting those. You needed to have a lot of connections to get your hands on those stankas. And of course, I need to mention that these stanka units were also used as a display to show how owners are doing. So if they have a hard to get books on a bookshelf and expensive Japanese boombox and nice crystalware from Czechoslovakia, you knew that they're doing really well. I show pictures of my friend Dima many times, and his mother worked as a manager of a small drugstore in a small town. And I remember when I visited him and I looked at the books on their stanka, I was so envious because she had the best books like science fiction and all these foreign authors like Dumas, Agatha Christie, that my family never owned, and I was ready to kill just to get my hands on those books. I bet there's more things I can tell you about Soviet furniture, so if you have any questions, please post in the comments section. I'll go through them and maybe we'll make more videos about furniture in the USSR. But for right now, thank you for watching Ushanka Show. Please don't forget to like this video, share with your friends, and we'll talk to you soon. До побачення. Goodbye.